Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
just fine. Finally got here.
Yeah, right. Like 20 minutes later.
It's okay. I'm slow, so.
You're right. Same, same.
So how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Just been running around and yep, just sitting down chilling.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a busy day.
None less busier than typical days, so that was nice. I ended up doing some session guitar recording today,
Well,
so
that's
that was
always fun.
yeah, I hadn't done a session in quite a while. It had been actually a few years, but yeah, I laid down some guitar tracks today, doing some session stuff, and just got the mix back and was kind of listening to it and showing it to some people. I was like, nice.
Yeah, so you're getting back into music and everything because you've
Yeah,
been like back and forth on that.
yeah. It just life happened, and then right when COVID first hit and when the pandemic like initially imploded and everybody didn't know what they were doing, it was a really weird, like a very stifling time in my life. My living situation was kind of weird. I had just had a lot of music gear stolen, and like I had lost some gear, and so I almost
Yeah,
wanted
that
to
would
take
do it
it.
too.
I wanted to take it as like an artist grant, and I could be like, well, I don't have to, my work shut down. And I was like, well, I could just record music, but I didn't have the means to do it. My MacBook had stopped working. So it was just Murphy's
Just a
Law.
snowball effect.
Yeah, just Murphy's Law. Just absolutely. It was just totally Murphy's Law.
So other than that, everything's good?
Yeah, yeah. No major complaints. Everything's good thus far.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because gosh, we haven't really talked that much. I mean, last time we texted was probably 2 years ago.
Mm,
So
That was a
yeah,
year ago. I think I was ghost hunting and I was texting you.
yeah, that's right. It was the ghost
I
hunting
was
thing.
ghost hunting in the cemetery
It's
because
like the weirdest thing ever.
well,
You
I've
like,
been
because you texted me, and then all of a sudden you call me, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm ghost hunting." I'm like, "Okay, that's
Yeah, I think
weird."
I drove all the way from Alger up to Bellingham and just to go to the cemetery. It's interesting because Bellingham and Fairhaven in particular have a lot of history with like haunted buildings and urban legends and stuff. I'd been reading a lot about it at that time, so there's some kind of like legends in the cemetery. So I was going to check that out. I remember that. I remember that clear as day.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't seem like anything you'd be interested in, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause,
I don't know.
gosh, how long have we known each other?
Oh man.
Because I
Oh,
I saw you like throughout, before I think we officially met, and I think that was 2010 when you helped me with that one project.
I think it
And
was, and we had maybe been friends on social media a little longer. I'd say 2000. Yeah,
yeah,
2010 sounds accurate. Yeah.
yeah, because I remember seeing you at open mic over an intermission, which is gone now, which is
Mhm.
sad face on that. But
I was
yeah,
just talking about that place with a friend the other day, actually.
yeah, a lot of those places are gone. Like the venue that was on Commerce Avenue, completely
Yep.
gone.
Yeah.
Used to hang out there all the time.
The last time I was down there was about a year ago, and I wasn't even there for that long. And I think the only place I went was Triangle Tavern. And I went to that record store that opened up.
Oh yeah, well,
Some,
because there was
somebody had
a
so I just went and checked it out, and I needed CDs for my car. So,
yeah, I'm one that plays CDs. Of course, the player isn't working. My dad's gonna check that out. For some reason,
oh yeah,
it's like I went to
ooh,
go play a CD player, the CD player's there and everything, but for some reason you put a CD in and it's like it's dead or something. So he's gonna
right,
check that
yeah,
out. It's like, no, I gotta have my music.
yeah. And then I got a new car recently, and I had a Kenwood stereo that it came with. I bought it used, and so I could just plug my phone straight in, and it went from my Apple Music, and that was cool. And then my buddy fucked it up somehow. I don't know what he did, but he pressed something. He was trying to like put on his stuff, and then it was like, then I mean, I had CDs, but I was other than that, I was just listening to country or mariachi driving to and from work.
Well, those are
So,
always
which I
fun,
was fine with. I am not complaining.
But what kind of country is it? I
I
mean, is
mean,
it Garth Brooks country or? I don't mind the
I mean, you
Northwest
know, it was a
Country.
mix. It was a mix. It was some George Strait, you know, some Luke
Yeah.
Bryan, you know,
Brooks and
some,
Dunn.
yeah, you know, stuff I grew up with, and then some of the newer stuff. I mean, I'd hear
Yeah.
Old Dominion on the radio, and I'd get pretty happy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so the reason I asked you to do this is because I introduced you to Newsies finally. I
Yes.
mean, if you're going to be my friend, you're going to have to see Newsies. And it's
Yeah,
funny
for
that
anybody who watches this, that as you could overhear, Taryn and I go way back, and she has sang the praises of this movie for so long. And you know, the funny thing is, when I finished the movie, my exact reaction, I was sitting right here in front of my TV, and my exact reaction was, okay, back to the main menu. And I'm like, once again, Taryn shows she has great taste in movies. Get up, exit scene.
well, the funniest thing is that because your favorite movie is a Goofy movie, which I've loved that ever since
my
it comes out.
favorite Disney
The favorite
movie.
Disney. And
But interesting fun fact, you did introduce me to my all-time favorite movie.
which one is that?
The Breakfast Club.
I
That
don't
was
like
your
that
doing.
movie.
What's that?
I don't like that movie.
You should. I swear. I thought. Didn't
No,
you show it to me?
that couldn't have been me because
I remember you showed me Boondock Saints, and
yeah, I do like
yeah,
the Boondock Saints.
Did I find that one on my own?
That must have been on your own or someone else.
I know I watched it with my mom, and you and we used to watch movies with my mom.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that might have been where
she didn't like the Boondock Saints. She was not happy about the Boondock Saints.
Oh, I mean, well, she was only upset because it was Catholic and she's Christian. That's the only reason.
I was sure that it was because of all the violence and everything and all the F-bombs and everything. And she was like, you like this movie? I'm like, I'm a huge fan of
I think she was just surprised more than anything that you liked it.
Oh, shoot. I love gangster movies. I was a kid and I was watching James Cagney. I mean, come on.
Right.
And then I graduated to a little more violent. But I mean, even that, as a kid in the 80s, a lot of our cartoons, I mean, Secret of NIMH is just wow.
I mean, that movie's dark. That movie
is. You know, and you look at all the other, there's a lot of posts that talk about how Don Bluth's characters look pretty much the same. Not that one. He went on a completely different direction with all of his characters. With that one,
looks like Shapey's joining in.
And yeah, is that your new kitten?
Yeah, this is. I finally just decided on his name, and yeah, his name's Shapey. He's no longer Mr. Kitty. He's Shapey.
Well, at least he's got a name.
Yeah, well, he responds well to Mr. Kitty. But yeah, his official name now is Shapey, but I'm sure he'll still be Mr. Kitty. That's interesting though, because my typical thing of being an insomniac, laying in bed and researching the most random oddball things late at night, I was actually reading up on, because you were talking about how some of the cartoon movies we watched were pretty violent and especially compared to now.
Yeah.
But I was reading about We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, and interestingly enough, Professor Screw Eyes, he was Kenneth Mars played him. He did the voice for him. Initially, it was going to be Christopher Lloyd doing that part, but Spielberg himself, after Christopher Lloyd recorded the voiceover for him, he said no. He was just like, nope, way too scary. He was like, you are too terrifying for children. So they went with Kenneth Mars. I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, yeah, Christopher Lloyd, huh?
And then, of course, Christopher Lloyd went on to do the voice of Rasputin in Anastasia. So.
Yeah.
Seems like he was the one that sang the song for Rasputin.
It's been so long since I think I watched a glimpse of it.
Because it's so hard to, because he can sing, but it just seems like I would have to check on that again. But
I was watching what was it recently? I was babysitting my old roommate's son, and what was it they put on for him? It was Oh, it was Thumbelina. They put that on.
I haven't seen that in forever.
I remember I was like, I wasn't really even paying attention.
Your phone cut out.
Oh, there we are.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I just was watching that, and for the rest of the day, I went out after that. I went to work, and I just had that stupid "If you follow your heart." I had that stuck in my head. Like,
well, you told me last night because you had told me that you had just finished watching Newsies. Yeah. And you said, I'm going to have King of New York stuck in my head.
Well, you know what's funny is throughout the whole movie, I don't know what the Seize the Day song.
Yeah.
When the first time they do it, not the reprises, but the very first time they do it, I had the melody line, was kind of humming it while I was watching it. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be stuck in my head. Like, this is a bop, you know, like I was digging it. And then once they did King of New York, then I kid you not, I forgot I forgot about that song, and King of New York took its place. Like,
yeah.
And of course I did my little research and whatnot. And of course, Alan Menken was one of the primary composers.
He did a lot of Disney.
Yeah, I was going to say he did Little Shop of Horrors. He did Beauty and the Beast, didn't he? And he did Pocahontas. I know that.
Because it goes back and forth between Hans Zimmer and Alan Menken because Hans Zimmer, of course, did Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And but I think Alan Menken was the one that did a lot of the princess movies.
Yeah.
Big time.
That's right. Yeah, it was him and oh my God. I was looking at the name, the other person he collaborated with. I can't even remember the name. It was the last thing he did with Alan Menken was Aladdin, and then that got released like posthumously because he passed away. Oh my God, I can't. It's like on the tip of my tongue. I can't. It's funny because I know because it's like his name's like synonymous with Alan Menken, and I just can't think of it for some reason. But yeah, the Alan Menken, brilliant composer, absolutely.
Yeah, my favorite is James Horner, which I knew his stuff before Titanic ever came out, and because he did Willow and Land Before Time.
Oh, he did Willow.
Yeah, he did Willow.
I did not know that.
And it seems like he did Cocoon. I might be wrong on that, but I know he also did Crawl, and then he also did Rocketeer. And
yeah. So I just remember, of course, An American Tail. I remember that.
Yeah, he did do that one.
He did that one, didn't he? He did. He composed the score for Avatar too, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, before he died.
Yeah. Well, let's see. When did he die? Because it was like about 2015, I think, is when he died.
And that came out 2009.
No, 9 or 10, because I was up. Yeah. I was up in college.
I remember. Yeah, I was in California, and I saw that in theaters with my dad.
Yeah, it's funny because I was in, of course, in college, and all those film students were saying, you know what, don't waste your money to go see this. It's just a bunch of blue people. It's adult Smurfs and everything.
I just felt it dragged out too much. I was just like, they spent 3 hours to tell a story they could have told in an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I understand James Cameron wanting to do something like this. He was so visually
it was stunning. It was stunning. I remember it was at the time it was like just groundbreaking. It was like, wow. But then of course, you can only stare at it for so long, and it's like, okay, do something.
Well, it's kind of like, my parents and I have been talking about 7 Years in Tibet and Legends of the Fall. How the cinematography is great. The visuals are fantastic, but they took too long. I think the movies are like 3 hours long, showing off this landscape and everything. It's like, show it in a documentary.
Interestingly enough, getting back onto the Newsies. Because when I looked at it on Disney Plus, my first thought, I was like, it's 2 hours, because I was trying to decipher. So here was my thing with it, because I waited till the last minute before we had planned to do this to watch it. And there's an interesting thing why. Because when you initially asked me to do this, I was like, okay, sure. Right around that time, it might have been the same night, I was watching, an ad on YouTube or something. I was watching TV, and I saw a trailer for the new Sonic movie, for Sonic 2. And of course I had seen and I thought about it for a second. I was like, I had just watched it a year ago. I'm like, I don't even remember much about it. And I just realized, like, movies don't stay. I have like the shortest memory span with movies.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
and that's how it is with a lot of people. I mean, there's times
it's
where
fresh in my mind, at least. It's like the last movie I watched, and I just watched it last night. But point aside, I was like, it's 2 hours, because normally I don't have I have too much ADHD to like watch movies and stuff. But
I can understand.
The interesting thing was, not one point in Newsies did I feel it dragged. I don't feel it dragged. It wasn't like, okay, moving on. Like, I did not feel that at all. It flowed perfectly, and it was like, all right.
Well, and you want to know something? I've been learning a lot more, because talking with friends of mine that are part of they've talked with cast and crew and everything, because ever since the Broadway show came out, the cast and crew have been talking a lot with fans. Apparently they cut a lot out of this movie. Wow. Yeah, I guess there was going to be a lot more in this movie, and
interesting.
Yeah, fortunately, I mean, one thing that the fan base is a little upset with is the character Sarah, because there was going to be a lot more development of Sarah, and that didn't happen. And it's like, but the story isn't about Sarah. It's about the Newsies and the strike. She wasn't a Newsie.
Yeah. And mind you, I hadn't done any. I know it's based on the real events and like the corruption and whatnot with the press but mind you, I had not done any research on that, so I'm not one to sit here and say, oh, but that didn't happen. Oh, that happened. So I don't know. I just know it was. I didn't know I enjoyed it. It was like, I know it was based on true events, so it's like, okay.
It's loosely based.
Right.
Coming from Hollywood, that's how it is. Yeah, these boys did not actually sing and dance. I was so devastated to find that out.
Bummer.
Yeah.
What a ripoff.
I know.
I feel lied to.
Well, actually, to be honest, it's not entirely true, because what would happen is, in like vaudeville shows and everything, they would pull the Newsies into shows for some reason or another. I can't remember exactly, but for the shows, they would have these Newsies come in, especially the Newsies that were cripple. And that would bring in a lot of money and revenue.
Yep.
And the Newsies actually wanted to do it. It would bring in some little extra cash and everything. So I guess in a way they did sing and dance. They were entertainers in a way. So, but not in the streets during a strike. Yeah, when this movie came out when I was 10, I think, to be honest, nobody would have remembered anything about this strike if it had not been for this movie.
Right.
And so now it's like all these people know all this stuff about this strike because of this.
Yeah, see, now, like, the more you know. Yeah, cue the little shooting star. Yeah, the more you know. I mean, I certainly, I knew of it, but not like any nitty gritty or anything like that. Yeah, it was just, I thought it was interesting. And I remember I had to question you, because I was like, I remember I got a text from somebody or something. My phone went off, and I was like, did I miss something crucial? Because I didn't understand the warden getting taken into custody. I was like, wait, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Like, did he urinate in public or something? Or like, what happened? Like, did I miss something?
It can be missed. After Crutchy is in custody, when he's taken by the two brothers.
Right.
And David and Jack go to get him, and they're standing in the alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack says that basically, well, David first says something to the effect of, well, how do you know they brought him here? And he says, well, of course they brought him here. And the more kids that are brought here, Snyder can put money in his pocket that the city puts, the city gives so that he can rehabilitate him. So it was like a big old scam kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So
and he's just pocketing.
Yeah. So that's what that was about. And
okay, that makes
really,
sense.
you really don't catch it.
It went straight over. I'm just like,
I didn't catch it for, as a little kid, you don't catch it. I was 10 again when this came out. So for the longest time, I didn't catch that. There was also in court where Snyder was insistent that Jack is taken to the refuge, after the raid in the theater.
Right. When they finally catch him.
Yeah. And he's insistent that Jack is taken to the refuge, and Jack keeps yelling, remember Roosevelt in the carriage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he's trying to point out this guy is a fraud.
Oh yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, that definitely makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, that was just like something that kind of like, I guess it didn't stand out, and it was like, oh, okay. But that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I've only seen this movie a billion times.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, genuinely, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm naturally, as you know, I'm a big fan of musicals. So yeah, I grew up, like I can remember being a little kid and, the Sound of Music being on TV, and my mother showed me a lot of stuff. Like because as you know, I was homeschooled. And sometimes my mom, we'd watch movies, like old historical movies. I mean, she'd have me read and watch movies and stuff, and she showed me like classic stuff like To Kill a Mockingbird and Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Oh, yeah.
We also took time for musicals, and like she showed me stuff like West Side Story, Yankee Doodle Dandy, Fiddler on the Roof, which of course, major personal favorite of mine. So it was like,
yeah, I saw the play. When they did the play here in town, when my music teacher was alive, he was the fiddler. And
I remember when it was in town. I remember that. I think a friend of mine was actually, I think he was just a side character in it, but I think he had a role somewhere in it.
Yeah, Mr. Fisher was, and because he was really good friends with the drama teacher, so that's why he was able to be the fiddler. And then like one of the last times that he was in it, it was him and his son.
Oh, wow.
Was in it, and sadly he was killed in a car accident. And so yeah,
I mean,
and
really
for the longest time they didn't do the play anymore. It was just too hard because Mr. Fisher was always the fiddler. They just couldn't think of
the fiddler.
who else could be.
Oh no.
Yeah, but yeah, and the thing is that like with Newsies, this was like back in 92 when this came out. When was the last time that they did a musical? It was like in the 70s. I think like Pete's Dragon was the last one that they did.
Yeah.
And and the movie bombed so bad, people just weren't interested in musicals anymore. So
yeah.
And I think the closest would be, I mean, I don't think even Who Framed Roger Rabbit would be. I mean, she did a song. Jessica Rabbit did a song, but
I definitely wouldn't categorize it as
I mean, there wasn't any dancing or anything like that. But I mean, you got a song out of it, and so here they are. They're trying to do this musical and everything, but
it had a really weird time. Like in 1992 was when it came out.
Yeah.
So that's a really odd. I mean, looking back, that's an odd time to really like. It's pretty ambitious to take that on.
Yeah, and it just
that was when like all the musicals were animated. That was like the Disney
yeah, because
Renaissance.
they had in 91 was Beauty and the Beast, and then you had, of course, Aladdin. Lion King didn't come until 94.
And then they had the Little Mermaid. They had
Little Mermaid was in the 80s. It was 89.
Oh, well,
I mean, I remember I went to the theater for that. I was obsessed with mermaid. I had so much mermaid stuff. It was ridiculous.
And that was around the same time I think Oliver and Company came out. That was
I remember Oliver and Company because that one was like a couple years before.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember that one. And of course, Great Mouse Detective was.
Of course.
They of course had to have because they had Vincent Price as Ratigan.
Yeah.
And so they had the musical talent of him and Henry Mancini, which I absolutely love Henry Mancini. Maybe that's why I love Mancini.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, but again, they hadn't had a musical at Disney since the 70s. They didn't have a live action musical in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and really the one annoyance is that they didn't market this movie at all. It was like they did the movie novel, and they had like this newspaper, this collector newspaper that you could get when you go to the theater, and that was like it. That's all they did. They didn't do any like fast food anything. And the year before with Rocketeer, I remember Pizza Hut had something because I always wanted to go to Pizza Hut and get the special thing that they had with that. They didn't have action figures. They didn't even have a video game. Nothing.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was just too bad. It didn't make any sense. It was like Disney was giving up on it before it even started.
Hey, get down from there. You old jackass. What are you doing? Come here. Yeah. Oh, the joys of being a cat dad. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, just a very ambitious time, very strange, because it wasn't animated either,
No.
And that's where that, like I said, the musicals that were hits were all animated.
I mean, you had, and at that time, Christian Bale wasn't really known.
Oh yeah, no, he was young, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah, he was like 17, 18 years old. He had done Empire of the Sun, but he was a child star over in Europe. But yeah, he was a child star in Europe. He did a few TV movies, and like he did Treasure Island over there, and like then he did Empire of the Sun, which introduced him here, and then it was like a couple years later he was in this movie.
Right.
And so I mean, then you had, of course, Anne Margaret, and of course everybody knew Anne Margaret. And Robert Duvall, which I think was a perfect match for Pulitzer.
Yeah,
he played Pulitzer so well.
Yeah, the casting, honestly, I'm just kind of like, drawing everything in. It's like, I truthfully found, because I tend to critique things a lot, but
yeah, who doesn't?
I couldn't find anything that like really to negatively look. I was just like, dude, this is great. I mean, I loved it because it was equal parts musical. There was a lot of action, the rally outbreak. There's some action. There's some fights. There's like, some good choreography. It's like, it's really enjoyable. It's just, it was just very, I don't want to say diverse. It was like all encompassing.
Yeah.
There's the mild romance between Jack and Sarah. There's romance. There's action. There's suspense.
Yeah, and fortunately, the romance. I know a lot of fans are going to disagree with me, but at least the romance didn't get in the way of what we were actually supposed to be seeing.
Right.
Which is the strike.
It's kind of predictable too in the beginning, like the way when he goes to meets David's family, and it's like the way that they look at it. It's like, oh, we all know what's going to happen. That would probably be the one thing I would say about it, is that.
Well, and at first you expect
there's some predictability to it, and
you think
not
that
predictability, but
you think that what's going to happen is that his attraction to her is going to screw up everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what happens at all. And actually, some of the deleted scenes, I'm wondering if that kind of if there's more to it between them.
Right.
And,
well, to me, it was like some of it was a little like I just kind of, it wasn't predictable per se. It was more like, oh, I could see where this is gonna, or like, I bet this is gonna have some, but it wasn't like predictable, like, oh, saw that come. It was like, oh, okay, you had an
yeah.
What I thought was, I can't remember his name, the reporter who was covering
Denton?
the strike. I thought he was going to end up backstabbing all of them. I thought he was going to either screw them over or just backstab them.
Well, in a way, he kind of did once he became an ace war correspondent.
Well, I thought he was going to deliberately, like, he was out to get all of them. Like, he genuinely cared about them. I thought he was
entirely
like,
from, yeah. Here's a bunch of kids. I can make a profit off of them.
Exactly. That's what
I see what you're saying.
I was kind of thinking, but then also when Jack's like, no pictures, then it was like, that was one for me. I'm like, uh-oh, he's going to get in the picture. And then,
you knew at some point that was going to happen.
Yeah, that I knew I was like, this is going to somehow be a plot foil. I could see that.
Because he's already running from, you just saw the whole thing where he was running from Snyder. Mm-hmm. And that's why he says no pictures. And then the major twist.
Well, and it kind of turns into like a little bit of like the liar revealed type plot with it, but that I didn't see coming. But normally it's like the liar revealed, it's like, oh, you know it's gonna happen, like if you know the character has a hidden agenda and he does something. This you don't see coming, but David takes it really harsh. You didn't even tell me who you were. Like, he feels like, that kind of leads into a liar reveal type plot. And like the other thing I noticed was when, like, because it's the plot, like I said, the liar revealed, yada yada.
Yeah, and the other Newsies aren't really that affected by the fact that he lied about his name and everything, or that his parents
David.
died. Yeah, it's exactly. Just David. He's just having a meltdown over it.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing I was going to say was I liked the fact that in the beginning you can tell it's like, why should I work with you? I don't need to, like, blah blah blah. And there's those situations where the characters eventually warm up to each other and they're button heads.
Oh yeah.
There's none of that with Jack and David. It kind of makes for good comic, like.
Well, he's got a cute little brother. I mean, come on.
But it's like,
don't forget Les.
Really quickly, and it kind of spares you all that drama, and like they just make a good team right away. It was kind of refreshing. It was like they right away, and like the family likes him. They're all like partners by the end of the day. Everything's great. I kind of just liked that. I don't know why that stood out to me, but it really did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for the longest time, Christian Bale said that this movie never happened. He was like, I never did this movie.
Oh my God.
I don't know why. I really don't know why. Because honestly, now, when I was a teenager in high school, there were a lot of the musicals, like Singing in the Rain and all of those.
Right.
That I would attempt the routines in the movies. Well, I attempted the routines in this movie, and I had most of them except for the one that Jack does in Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
That one is so hard.
But you need a horse for it too.
Oh, shut up. You smart ass.
Well, me.
Oh my gosh. But I guess that he trained so much for this movie. You know,
I
he
believe it.
did so much. And of course, this one kind of blended in with also because the next year he did Swing Kids. They
Okay.
released the movie Swing Kids, and so I was reading somewhere that around this time he was also training in martial arts. So
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering if yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was more for Swing Kids that he was learning martial arts. But
Right.
still, oh good heavens, I don't know why he went so long saying, "Nah, I wasn't it. That wasn't me. That was a completely different I was having an out of body experience. I don't know." But
Well,
he's
and of course,
warming.
Kenny Ortega was behind that movie too.
Yeah.
Best not forgetting. I mean, that dude is a top-notch choreographer.
Oh yeah.
You know, he did High School Music, whether you love it or hate it. You know, the
Well, I didn't know
choreography.
that for the longest
Choreography is
time.
great. You know.
Yeah, because I remember when High School Musical was really popular, and I had no idea that Kenny Ortega was behind that
Mhm.
until about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm like, I should have known. I mean,
That
and
he was working with Michael Jackson too. He worked with the best, you know. So
yeah.
I mean, that says something, you know. Kenny Ortega is a legend, absolutely.
Well, a lot of the guys that were in this movie were they danced with Michael Jackson, Paul Abdul. The guy that was in the background, he had the blue shirt on and had the tan hat on. He had black hair. I don't know if you saw him. I'll give you a picture
Yeah,
when we're
y'all
done.
agree.
But he also carried a staff around and everything.
Oh, okay.
But he danced with like Paul Abdul. He went on tour with Michael Jackson
Oh wow,
and everything. Yeah,
kid knew his stuff.
he did. And I guess that in behind the scenes, there's at one point where Kenny Ortega says, "You watch him. He knows what he's doing. He's got this like memorized,
Wow,
like whatever, and everything." So,
wow.
but sadly, he passed away a couple years later. He had cancer, and
Oh, bummer. A
yeah,
couple
it's
years
just too
after the
bad.
movie was released, or
Hmm. Yeah,
oh
he was
wow,
in a show. His name was Dominic Lucero. He was in a show on Nickelodeon
okay.
called Roundhouse, and it was like a sketch show.
I remember Roundhouse.
And
Yeah,
yeah, he was on that show, and
that
a
was the
bunch.
improv. Wasn't that the improv
Yes,
show? Yeah, yep.
and a bunch of the guys that were in this movie were also in that show. And
Interesting. Huh.
yeah, so when he got sick, he didn't want anybody to know. And basically,
Right.
the show kept going after he died, but I don't know for how much longer, but yeah.
Well, those
It
shows,
really wasn't the same,
all
of course, because it didn't have the whole team.
yeah. I was gonna say shows like All That and like all those sketch comedy shit. They have a revolving door of cast too. So
Hmm.
like each
Yeah.
season somebody goes, somebody comes in. Like.
Yeah, I don't know, but when you do a movie and you do a movie together and then you're in a show for a couple years and then I don't know, it just isn't the same.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely
And
lose.
yeah, and
Yeah,
one of
the music, TV, anything like that. Anything of that format. That can instantly put a dent in your dynamic. That can demolish the dynamic for sure.
yeah, it really can. Uh one guy the one guy with the pink shirt. Now, not the guy that was whiny all the time, not skittery, but the other guy who usually wore a blue shirt over his pink shirt. His name was Swifty.
Okay, yeah.
But he's still dancing. He's like 50 years old and he's still dancing.
Wow.
And now he's danced with a lot of different people. I think he worked with Paul Abdul. He worked with Michael Jackson. He's danced for Taylor Swift. He was also in
Oh
a
wow.
he was because he was showing a lot of the different music videos that he appears in. He Now 1 Week is one of my favorite songs. ever. When that song came out, Bare Naked Ladies.
Yep. Yeah.
And there's one line in there that says, like, Harrison Ford, I'm getting frantic. That's the reason I have the movie Frantic. Well,
I mean, hey,
as it turns out, he appears in that video.
Oh, wow.
And he's one of the soldiers that carries him in, and at the beginning. I didn't know that for the longest time. But I thought that was really interesting. So yeah, he's still doing work and everything.
I'm just learning so much today.
Yeah, I know things, and it's like, why do I know this crap?
That's like me with music trivia. I mean, I know the struggle.
I pick up stuff, people tell me stuff, and then it's like I feel like a know-it-all and whatever. But
I'm like the same way when it comes to like sessions that members of Toto have played. I'll be sitting there in the radio in the car, somebody be like, hey, that's Steve Lukather playing that guitar solo. Oh yeah.
Yeah, let me
Jeff
tell you a thing.
Plays on this song. Hey, wait, this is Michael Landau playing guitar. Like, I know that with being a session musician myself. Like, I know all that nerdy stuff.
Yeah, I remember one time we were in the car and I had the Footloose album playing, and there was like a guitarist or something on the album, and you just went off. You just started giving all kinds of trivia about this guitarist. And
I wonder which. Interesting. It was off the Footloose album.
It was Footloose. Oh. And I was like, I was just like, okay, I know Kenny Loggins is on it.
Experienced it firsthand. I'm still that way. And I'm just like, sometimes
but we're all like this about stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I'll be like, I'll shut up now. Like, sorry, I had to get that out.
Oh, it's the stuff that we love. We go nuts about it.
Mm-hmm. It makes me think of Calvin and Hobbes. Like
his obsession with dinosaurs. He loved dinosaurs.
I just remember when he's just like, he's talking about, Miss Wormwood asks him like, Calvin, will you please explain this math problem? No, but I can explain yada yada.
Yeah, I can explain this for you.
And then he just breaks the fourth wall and says, it's not that I'm dumb. I just use my brain to harness a lot of useless information. And it's like, yeah, that's me.
Oh, good heavens. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, there are times where I try to say, well, I don't know that much about Christian Bale, because it's like, I don't know like his wife's name. I don't know this. I don't know that. And then it's like all this other stuff all of a sudden pops up, and I'm like, maybe I do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel okay, whatever.
I haven't paid much attention to much else he's been in. I mean, of course,
I've watched quite a few of his movies, and I think I saw one of his Batman movies. I have a box set.
I was gonna say Dark Knight, of course. I mean, that's like that's the most.
I saw the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Joseph Gordon-Levitt played a cop, and it seems like nobody remembers that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in it.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So I saw that one, but I did buy a box set because it was like really cheap. It was Blu-ray and everything, and I was like, okay, and why not? But yeah, it's like I haven't really. There's like this whole thing where if you're a fan of something or someone or a band or whatever, you have to know everything. Like somebody got on my case because I don't know every Green Day song. I was like,
well, now it's like damn near impossible.
No kidding.
It's just like, like off the newest album, like I couldn't probably name a song title. I remembered listening to it and thinking it's good, but I just
I don't even know when the last album was released. I mean, good heavens,
I think I remember it was I think it was 2020. I think was when it came out.
Yeah,
I do remember that much.
As much as I love James Cagney, I haven't seen all of his movies. I don't think I've even seen all of his gangster movies. Come on. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, the guy who is the old man who is in the lodging house, Klopman, he was in a bunch of gangster movies. And
he looks like he would be. My first thought when I saw him actually being the smartass that I am, the first thought was, I was just like, hey, I didn't know Marshall Applewhite had an acting career. And I was just watching that a documentary on his cult, on his Heaven's Gate cult, and I was like, that looks just like that crazy dude.
Don't do that to Klopman.
I was just like, dude, he looks like Marshall Applewhite. I'm like, I didn't know he was an actor.
No. No, his name is Mark Lawrence. And actually, I think his last movie was that Looney Tunes Back in Action. That one with Brenda Fraser. I think that was his last one. And and it's funny because I remember watching that, and there's a scene where there's a bunch of people in a conference room, and there's a really old guy sitting there, and I was like, that guy looks so familiar. I'm pretty sure I've seen him before. Well, it was him. So I think that was his last, but he did a whole bunch. He was in a couple of 007 movies, and he was in Key Largo with Humphrey Bogart, and he was in a TV series, The Untouchables, and which
I know he looks slightly familiar, and I'm sure I've seen him in something.
Yeah, you probably have. And there was a G-Men, the Cagney movie, G-Men, but he was uncredited in that. And so, yeah, he was in quite a few of those gangster movies in the 40s and 50s. He also did a few Westerns as well. And, but no, don't do that to Mark Lawrence.
I did notice. I was like, he does look a little familiar, but he looked like, because I was watching
when you first saw him.
I was watching that I fell asleep watching that documentary the other night just because I like to watch all my weird true crime thing. Like, it was that cult from like the mid-90s or like it started in the 70s, and they believed in like the UFO craft, like the Ascension and all that.
I remember when that happened, when that whole thing happened. I was in high school, and I remember watching the footage of when they found all that. It was so
that's
spooky.
what I was watching too.
Oh man, that was so
They're all
weird.
wearing matching Nikes and all that. It's just like all
and
that.
There was one time.
And then they're showing little clips of his prophecy videos. I'm like, dude, he looks just like that guy.
No, don't do that. Don't make me come over there and kick your ass.
Oh, good Lord. Oh my God.
Because I'll do it, and you know it.
I know.
Oh, good heavens.
Yeah. Overall, though, I gotta say, once again, that was why my exact thing I said. I'm like, once again, Terrence shows she has great taste.
Yeah. And
I greatly enjoyed it. I definitely, if you've never seen it, check it out, especially if you're a fan of musicals. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, and especially since I'm surprised that you haven't seen it yet, considering how many times I've told you that this movie crosses over with a Goofy movie, as I was saying at the beginning.
Yeah.
And
then I did read something interesting. Aaron Lohr, who did Max's singing voice in the movie, he's in this movie. And I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've been telling you that for how long?
Well, like I said, I have like the worst. I don't know. I mean, I just, I got dropped when I was a baby. I don't know. Something's wrong with my head. Like,
well, something's wrong with you anyway. I mean, but I put up with you.
I drank my last brain cell away, like, I don't know.
Well, that's okay. You're sober now.
Yep.
So you're getting better, and I'm proud of you.
Well, it's interesting because like now I can actually remember things a hell of a lot better than I used to. And it's like, oh yeah, that happened. Okay.
Well, did you figure out which newsie was Aaron Lohr?
No, I didn't. I think I discovered this like towards the end because I had to look up. I think I was trying to look up who the actor that played David was. I remember specifically because I was like, have I seen him in something?
Oh,
but he doesn't seem to have like a huge like register outside of or a huge roster outside of Newsies.
Yeah, he was the little kid in, if you've seen the movie Big with Tom Hanks, he was
that's right.
He was a little boy in that. He was also in the movie Honey.
Which one?
Isn't that the name of it? The one that was there was that dancing movie, and I think it was named Honey. And
Not sound familiar.
let me see something here. Oh. Yeah, because I remember seeing parts of that movie and I could not believe that it was a thing. Okay, so David Moscow. And yeah, the movie is Honey. And who else is in it? Because it was released in 2003. It's got Jessica Alba in it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And Missy Elliott is in it. Yeah, this was back when they were trying to put out.
I vaguely remember that. I do vaguely remember that movie.
Okay, yeah, because this was when they were
vaguely. That came out, yeah, when I was like a teenager.
Yeah, they were putting out all those dancing movies, and after Center Stage, it was like all of a sudden they got to put out all these dancing movies.
What was it, Bring It On, and like all those other
that one's a cheerleader, but but yeah, around the same, yeah. And but yeah, he was in that one. He was also in a TV show. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it was a Zoe Duncan, Jack and Jane. It was actually a cute little show, but it
doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, it didn't last long. So and then that's pretty much it that I remember of him. But yeah, I mean, his big thing is being in the movie Big, Honey, and Newsies. But I guess he's got a cooking show now. So
interesting.
That's what I hear anyway. He's got that going. And well, one of the guys is one of the background Newsies. He also was in Roundhouse. He is in real estate now. So yeah. And he's good at it. He's really, really good at it.
I'll take your word for it, for sure.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. We follow each other on social media, and
oh, that's neat.
And every once in a while, he was for a while anyway, he was doing the dance moves, embarrassing his kids, as only a dad can do. Yeah, he would still do that, if you can still do it, then why not,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, good heavens. And and then there's of course well, okay, so Aaron Lohr is Mush.
Mm-hmm.
That's you know which one that is, right?
I think I remember the name, but I was trying to think. I was like,
you watched the movie, kiddo.
I know. There's so many of them.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Yeah, all the
okay. If you remember at the beginning when they're waking up, and there's the kid that goes up to Jack and he says, "So how'd you sleep, Jack?"
Oh yeah, flat on my back.
Yeah. I asked Jack how he slept, and he said, "That's Mush."
Okay.
That is Aaron Lohr.
Okay. All right.
That is.
Yeah, Max's... I just don't know what he's like at all. So.
Well, we're gonna have to do something about your memory, because he is in the Mighty Ducks 2. He is one of the Bash brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's done other things, like he was in Rent, that movie version of Rent from like 2005. That was.
I remember when that came out.
Just terrible. It was,
I've heard not so good.
My friend and I were going and seeing a lot of movies and everything, and we went and we saw that. We come out of it and we're like, I've never really liked Rent, so I don't know why we went and saw that. But anyway, and but yeah, and he does a lot of like he would like background character stuff, like he was in Sister Sister.
Oh, okay.
And
I remember that show.
I love that show.
I young.
I really loved that show. And yeah, pretty much, like he did a Law and Order and all
I mean,
that.
it seems everybody's been on like Law and Order at least once.
Yeah, and then he did there was a TV movie of the Monkees and he played Mickey Dolenz.
Oh, interesting.
I saw this TV movie. I was really excited because they were doing
right. Well, naturally, it's you.
Yeah,
of course.
I love the Monkees. I love the Monkees since I was 4 years old. But when I was in high school, they were doing quite a few of these TV movies for musicians and entertainers and everything. And they finally got to the Monkees because they did one for the Beach Boys and everything. And well, Aaron Lord was the only one that looked like the guy that he was playing. I don't know where they got these guys. The closest was Peter Tork. I mean, but the guy that they picked for Davy Jones just was scared. No.
No. Yeah. No. Just no.
I mean, I watched it and everything, and I'm just like, why did they pick this actor? I'm not one to poke at somebody's appearance. I'm just saying he was not Davy Jones.
Right.
And but yeah, Aaron Lord does look like Davy Jones. I mean, quite honestly, he didn't really need a wig or anything.
That gives me a little bit of an idea of like what he looks like. Okay. Fair enough. I mean,
You saw the movie, kid. What is wrong with you, pal?
Oh man, we're still trying to figure that out. Still to this day.
Jury's still out on that one. Hey, I've known you for this long, and I wonder sometimes.
You deserve a Purple Heart. You deserve a medal.
I deserve something. That's well, you've put up with me for all this time.
Fair enough.
We'll continue to put up with each other.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good heavens. Yeah, and well, what did you think of the character Racetrack?
Which one was he again?
The first song, he's the one that says, "That's my cigar."
Oh yeah, okay.
He's the
you'll steal another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in King of New York, he's the one that jumps up and has the newspaper up over his head and everything.
Yeah.
He's. What did you think of him?
I mean, to be fair, nothing really stood out about him. He was just a newsie.
Yeah, it's one of those, you either like him or you hate him. Well, that's Max Casella. And at the time, Doogie Howser, I think, had just finished. Well, he was Doogie Howser's friend.
Oh, okay.
And he's done a lot of voice acting for Disney and others. I remember there was Casella. Yeah, well, now
you see, like voice acting trivia, that's like something that like I also know a lot of, and I'm trying to think.
Well,
is that wait? Oh no, I'm thinking of Dan Castellaneta. Never mind. I'm thinking
totally different person here.
I was gonna say, I'm like, is it any relation? But I was like, wait, that's Castellaneta.
No, he's
the voice of Homer Simpson.
Yeah, because he's done a lot of movies. Like he did Analyze This. I think he's also in Analyze That. And he was in The Sopranos. So he does a lot of work with The Sopranos.
I think I'm the only person on earth who's never watched that show.
I've never seen the show, so.
I know it was a huge deal when James Gandolfini died, but
yeah. I mean, it is sad that he died, but
yeah, it's a bummer. I mean,
yeah. I was
okay.
more sad when the actor who played Bigelow in Rocketeer passed away, and it was like people were just kind of like, "Oh, okay, he died." I was like, "No, you don't understand."
That might have to be next on my list.
Yeah, and then we could do this again.
Yeah. I was gonna say
that's another one of my favorites.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I've read.
Why aren't you watching these movies? You're behind the times, buddy.
I mean, yeah, watch a movie or sit here and pointlessly watch marathons of 1980s like cereal commercials. Yeah, because
you should be watching.
I know, smart decisions.
I just remember when we would be watching all these movies, and when we watched Back to the Future, and it was I think it was Flea from
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, Red Hot, and you're like, I know that guy. Who is that guy? I'm just laughing because I knew you should know. I wasn't gonna tell you.
I remembered that he did have the role in it, but then it just kind of like slipped my mind.
Oh man. I think that was the funniest was your total reaction to that.
Yeah, I remember because then I looked, I was like, that is him. Yeah. Like once I looked closer,
totally
it's Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, of course. And I think Anthony Kiedis, I think he was the lead singer. He was in it too. I think he had a cameo. I know they were in something together.
And
don't bite me.
Huey Lewis from Huey Lewis and the News is in it.
Oh yeah, he plays the judge in the beginning.
You're too loud. Oh, good heavens.
That's a bummer. He's not playing anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess it had something to do with he was losing his hearing or something.
Yeah.
And
it was because he was too loud.
Yeah.
Loud. Yeah, he ruined it for Huey Lewis.
Well, he made that joke actually. He was on an interview and he made the joke and everything. I get, it's a good thing that he's in good spirits about it. And he made that joke and everything, because it's a terrible thing when you are not able to do your art anymore.
Oh, I know, for a musician. I mean, imagine for me, a musician, like, that's a death sentence right there.
Well, yeah, especially, like with me, there was a period of time where I seriously thought I was that I was going blind or something, but no, it wasn't that.
Well, that's good.
I was just overreacting.
I know how that goes.
Oh, good heavens. And no, it was when the fires were going really bad over here.
Oh yeah.
And it was affecting, and so, but I really did think that I was going blind or something, and I was afraid to tell anybody. But again, I mean, if I were to lose, I wouldn't be able to write anymore. I wouldn't be able to do any of my art anymore. So yeah, I fully understand. And, yeah. Fortunately, that's not the case. But I know that it's probably going to be somewhere in the future that something like that will happen. So
you just gotta use it before you lose it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Gotta prepare yourself for it.
Yeah.
Oh, good heavens.
Oh boy.
So as a whole, when it comes to this movie, you enjoyed it 100%.
2 thumbs up. Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. 2 thumbs up. I really did genuinely enjoy it. I did.
Okay. And
like I had said, the only criticism I would ever have really was that, I mean, it does, and I'm not saying this as a negative thing at all. I'm just saying, like, anything that I would point out is that you get over here.
She's getting into things.
Yeah, he's trying to pull all the ties from like my coat hanger.
Well, that's what kitties do.
Yeah. Now he's gonna try to bite my sweatshirt strings. Like I said, it just, some of it gets a little, you kind of, it's not predictable, but you kind of like, it's not very subtle with hints, but that's not a bad thing to me. I'm just saying for some people it might annoy the hell out of them or be like, oh, this is too predictable.
Well, I mean, like,
that would be the only thing, you know.
Like you were saying with the whole thing with Jack and Sarah. I mean, when a teenage boy sees a girl, you know
And she
something's
gives
gonna
him the
happen.
look. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
you know something's gonna happen. So I mean, I don't think that that's really predictable. It's just
Maybe more of a cliche even. I don't know.
It's more of a cliche than anything else.
I guess that would be the more appropriate thing. It's like, yeah, there's the typical cliches. There's the liar reveal. The you know he's gonna get with the sister. All this, there are some cliches. So for some people, I know they want a little more aura of mystery. But so for that, maybe it might subtly lack in that department. But honestly, I really hadn't, and especially because it's a longer running time, but it did not once feel dragged out. Like it just.
Right.
It spent the right amount of time, the right amount of emphasis on everything. I was not once in the whole movie was I like, okay, move on. Like, no, everything was perfect. I was like, and for someone with the patience
that
of me, it's like, if I'm saying that, then it's fine.
Yeah. And you told me last night, you said that King of New York was really catchy. We've talked a little bit about the song. We didn't talk too much about the song.
I think you had sent me a YouTube video of it, and that's one of those things where it was like, I think it was really familiar to me, and I was like, yes, I remember this.
Yeah, and I sent you a YouTube clip of the song, and I also sent you a clip of the Broadway version, thinking maybe you heard the Broadway version, maybe a friend of yours was interested, liked the Broadway show, and so that's why I sent you the Broadway version and everything. So
no, I had mentioned this to everybody, I had mentioned this to a few people, and not a lot of people know this.
The only other thing that I can think is that Alan Menken recycled his work, because it seems like a friend of mine said, because she's a big fan of Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
So it's possible that he recycled for this movie, and you're hearing a little bit of Little Shop of Horrors.
That could be.
And I'm not familiar with Little Shop of Horrors, so
it's been a long time for me, but I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I get really irritated with people when they get so mad at musicians and composers who recycle their stuff. It's like, Mozart did it. Come on.
Well, it's interesting because I had seen, I guess, I get to go off about Ed Sheeran, one of my favorites, but he was going through a lawsuit, I guess, of some sort, and he was just discussing it on Instagram, and he was just saying, he's like, it obviously was a copyright related suit or something, because he said, guys, there are so many musicians, over 60,000 songs getting streamed on Spotify daily, and there's only 12 notes out there, and there's, only so much we can do. And that's the thing, there is only 6 major notes. You can only do so much. It's like the thing with Tom Petty and, the Chili Peppers getting accused with the Danny California thing, like they were ripping off Mary Jane's Last Dance. And he just simply said, like, it's bound to happen. I'm not mad. This is bound to happen sooner or later. Something's going to sound like something. There's only so much.
And a lot of people are going after Hans Zimmer because of Gladiator soundtrack sounds like Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's like, James Horner recycled his stuff. Braveheart is Titanic. Titanic is Braveheart, and everything. When you have to compose an entire score for a movie soundtrack, you think about the effort that you have to put into it. Of course you're going to recycle. I mean, even with John Williams, you hear Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, but and with Henry Mancini, there's a party track on the Pink Panther. Mm-hmm. And then there's a party track on another, I think it's a Breakfast at Tiffany's. They're the same. They're like the exact same.
Interesting.
And it's like, nobody is saying anything about that.
Yeah, it's just like some people turn a blind eye to stuff like that. And then
Yeah, it's like they don't say
blatantly-
anything about that, but it's like Hans Zimmer did this, and it's like, of course he did. Of course he did. And again,
Now there's speculation that Justin Bieber ripped off Toto, and when I heard the song they were comparing it to, that was straight up. I was like, he's straight up, or his production, that was a ripoff.
Yeah, I'd believe it.
Like one of his songs had the same exact chorus of "Going Home" by Toto, and I was like, and I heard his chorus.
There's a difference between being inspired by and straight up ripping off. Like there are people that are trying to say that Michael Jackson completely ripped off of the musical bandwagon that Fred Astaire was in, because when you watch that movie, the suit that Fred Astaire wears and everything is like what Michael Jackson wears, and people are saying, oh, he completely ripped off, and you know, he's not original or anything like that. It's like,
oh, weird.
Michael Jackson and Fred Astaire were friends as far back as when he was in the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
So this is an obvious tribute to Fred Astaire, because Fred Astaire had died the year before he released Smooth Criminal.
Yep.
You don't have to like Michael Jackson, but you need to get your facts straight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love Michael Jackson. Absolutely. Michael Jackson.
I don't agree with his private life, but him as a performer, there's no comparison with anybody else. Nobody can be that, you know. And
I honestly, just as far as his personal life goes, like, I don't think he hurt anybody. I just definitely think psychologically he was very messed up.
Oh yeah.
All the shit he went through from his childhood, he did not have a normal life.
Yeah.
He definitely had some issues that were just, you know, unattended to.
But you know, we'll never know. We'll never know exactly what happened.
Yeah, people will come out of the woodwork and say,
yeah,
you know,
and
like
that's part of the problem right there, is people are gonna come in and they're gonna give their 2 cents, and it just muddies the water and it doesn't help. So but I remember being a little kid and watching Captain EO and thinking that was just amazing. Absolutely.
I just watched that for the first time ever, like I think a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Well, sitting in the theater watching it in 3D was just amazing.
oh yeah, because you saw it like back in the day. I found it on YouTube. Somebody had bootlegged it on YouTube and I watched it.
Yeah. And yeah, because I was 5 years old. We were at Disneyland and we saw it. And of course, that was when Michael Jackson was big, you know.
Yeah.
And we watched it, and I don't really remember the whole plot of it. I remember there was that little fuzzy guy that flew around, and I remember I was grabbing for the fuzzy guy.
Right.
But yeah, it was, you know, it was one of the, and that was one that George Lucas helped with. So but anyway, so looks like I lost ya.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, it's this weird swipe thing I'm not getting used to. I was like,
did you get a new phone?
No, I haven't used Zoom in like, man, when was the last time? I think the last time I used Zoom was when I won that radio contest and I got to have a Zoom meeting with Matthew Ramsey.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because I took a screenshot of me talking to him and stuff. Yeah, that's the last time, and this was like, well, like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I think the last time I did was, well, probably 2 years ago. So, and I would try to set up Zoom chats and people would be like, oh no, I'm too weird, I guess.
I mean, mostly any sort of interaction like this, I do Snapchat and me and friends will send stuff back and forth.
I don't even have Snapchat. I got so lost in it. I just deleted it. I was like, no, I don't. For me,
it's like the one social media I'm most active on. Like I have others, but it's like, that's the one I use the most.
Yeah, I'm getting less and less active on social media.
That's the way to be, though.
I post for my business, and that's about it.
Right.
And yeah, I'm turning more into I say that I live my life 1920s and internet didn't exist.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, write actual letters. I mean, I have like a whole stack right
Have
here.
actual phone conversations. The phone's not
Yeah.
thing.
I have
Phone's
I have an actual stack right here of spiral notebooks, and I have like a whole every time I go to the store, I buy like a new pack of pens as if I really need it.
right.
I'm stocking up.
I mean,
everybody else is stocking up on like toilet paper and all that stuff, not me.
yeah.
I think I'm stocking up
It's
on the
kind of
wrong.
sad because like the other night I needed a pen and I could not. I had to tear my apartment apart. I'm like, dude, I needed a pen. I needed a pen to put a thing up, a sign on my door that said, "Warning: I'm COVID positive. Keep out."
No. Oh yeah, you.
I mean, this was like a few weeks ago.
Well, I'll be your dealer. Oh. I've got enough pens.
There you go. That just makes me think of old school Sesame Street. Just going, that guy going to Ernie, "Hey kid, you want to buy a vowel?" Just the old school Sesame Street.
I miss the old school Sesame Street. One of my favorites was the old guy, or the guy in the restaurant who would just torment Grover when he was a server at the.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I love
the old
those.
blue guy.
Yeah, big blue head. He had a name, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh, yeah, I do remember him. Yeah. Super old school. And then yeah, I have my TikTok channel I do with Kermit.
Yeah, you were showing me that.
Yep, some of the just me. I have a compilation of videos of me on Omegle with him just insulting the shit out of people. And so people have been saying like, dude, will you put me in this TikTok? And it's like, yeah, when I get around to editing and making a compilation of like my best roasts with Kermit.
Oh, good heavens. Yeah. Well, see, now what you need to do is you need to get red suspenders and I have a hat. It's up here. I should have worn it. I have a Newsie hat.
There you go.
I had to get it for a dance routine. I don't even remember what the dance routine was, but yep, I have that, and I also have a key, just like Spot.
I've been trying to actually find my Newsie cap. I've been trying to find mine and I can't find it, and it's depressing me. I just rearranged my whole apartment and I got a new bed, put it upstairs, all this stuff. So I'm unboxing stuff now that I have more room. Otherwise, everything was just upstairs sitting in boxes, and I'm finding all my clothes and I'm like hoping, fingers crossed, that hat is in this Tupperware full of clothes I have. So
well, that's probably where it is.
Yeah, here's hoping. I just remember I wore it one day to work and like then I just haven't seen it since. I'm like, all right.
It's always in the last place that you look.
Yeah.
Or the most unusual place ever.
For me, that whole thing is I always am missing stuff and I find them when it's least convenient for me. I find when I'm looking for something else, then
I've been looking for this for 3 years. Why is it now that I find it?
Yeah, when I'm trying to find something completely different. Exactly.
Yeah, I've had that happen. Or it's you finally give up and you just buy a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're like, I don't need 2 of these. Okay. Yeah. Well, we didn't really talk about Spot. What did you think of that character?
He was actually my favorite. I liked him. He was my I remember him. He was my favorite.
Yeah, everybody loves Spot. In fact,
I just liked him. I liked his demeanor. I liked the character, the role he played. I was like, yep, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, he's the badass. That's who you want to be.
Yeah.
The entire fan base.
Exactly.
The entire fan base loves him.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when I was in high school, because I was watching this movie to death, and I wrote to a bunch of the guys from this movie, and this was back in like 97, 98, and might even be 1999 because it was my junior year of high school. And what's funny is I even forgot that I had written to these people, and he wrote back.
Oh wow!
The actor who played Spot wrote back.
Really?
Yeah, he gave me an autographed picture. That's what's up here, right here. That's him.
Oh no way!
And he gave a personal letter back. I have it in my desk right now, and so I don't remember what I said. I mean, it's probably some gibberish that a teenager said.
Yeah, right. You don't want to think. You don't even want to think about.
I don't even want to
right?
think about that. Like, but I mean, like, I was reading it not too long ago, and I'm like, what the hell did I say? I mean,
oh my
because
gosh!
I was like, I was a really dumb teenager. I mean,
I weren't we all though?
Well, oh good heavens! I guess yeah, that's the truth. But
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and so, but I guess the Gabriel Damon, the guy that played Spot, because he was also a child actor.
Right.
And he did a few movies after that, and I guess that he retired from acting, but he did some screenwriting. So it's not like he fully retired from Hollywood or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know if he came back to acting or what, because some of these people, when the Broadway show came and they did like this whole reunion and everything, it was like, oh my gosh, you know what? I should come back and do this thing. And so
right.
I don't know. Maybe he came back. I don't know. It's not like I follow these people. It sounds like I do, but I don't.
You're not digging through their trash cans at 3 a.m.
Don't tell all my secrets.
Oh, that's right. This. Oh, yeah. Got the document now.
I don't want a restraining order. Come on. Oh my gosh. I swear, like half the stuff that I probably know of these people is like completely outdated, probably 10 years outdated. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. You ridiculous cat. There's your missing toy. There we go. Play with that for a bit. Stop playing with daddy's gear. Yeah, no, overall, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm just surprised it's not more like critically acclaimed. I mean,
well, like I said, it bombed in the theater. So it was forgotten for a long time, and then all of a sudden they put it on Broadway, and it got a few more fans, but so it's slowly starting to come. I think more of the fans are with Broadway.
right.
I don't know where the balance is on that. So, but
I mean, it's just like reboots and stuff. It's like, them rebooting DuckTales and stuff like that. It's like,
yeah, I hope they never reboot. I think about the closest would be the Broadway show, but they're so obsessed with rebooting everything. They need to stop. Stop. And I don't even, if they were to reboot it, I can't even think of who would play these characters.
right?
Like who would play Pulitzer? Because Robert Duvall did such a good job.
Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, I don't know. It's just sad to me to think that like kids these days, they're gonna watch like this, like they're rebooting stuff we grew up with, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember. It's like, no, that doesn't count.
Yeah, or they'll only watch it.
Oh, go ahead.
They'll only watch it if it's with actors and actresses that they know.
I mean, Does make sense.
Uh,
Not saying it's right. I'm just saying it does make sense. That,
no,
like,
it's like the movie's already made. Just watch it. You
well,
don't
I'm
have
saying
to. You don't have to know you don't have to know the people. Just watch it for the story.
yeah.
Like I remember there was a whole summer where my mom was renting all these movies, and while I didn't know half of the actors I was watching, I enjoyed the movie. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're a happy kitty, aren't you?
Sounds like she's being a mischievous little cat.
Yeah, a little bastard. That's why I just keep looking over. I'm just like, what's he getting into? He's my little buddy, though. Leave that alone. Play with your mouse. I just found your mouse, you ingrate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I 10 out of 10 would watch again. I would say.
Well, you're going to be watching it. Like I said, I can't believe that it's taken you this long to. We've known each other since like 2010.
Oh, and as I said earlier, you've been singing the praise of this movie for as long. I just don't do well with movies. Like I just normally like don't watch movies. The other thing is I don't like watching them alone. It's more fun
I hear that.
movies with friends or like, or on a date or something. It's just more fun to watch movies with people.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, it's like eating a birthday cake all to yourself. It's like this doesn't feel right. Sure, and it still don't feel right.
Yeah. Well, at least now when you talk about Seize the Day, it's not just the Avenged Sevenfold song. So.
Right.
Oh, good heavens.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, well, I'm glad you did this with me.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, you shoot me some more recommendations and we can do this.
Yeah. Mainly it was because this movie is 30 years old.
Yes.
As of the 10th of April. And
yeah. So this Sunday.
Yeah. I can't believe it's gonna be. I remember watching the commercials when it came out, and doesn't seem possible. I'm old as hell. We all know that.
Right.
Don't agree with that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, just like reminiscing.
Yeah, I know.
In the sense of reminiscing.
Oh, good heavens. But yeah, I remember the commercials, and I remember there was one commercial in particular that they were showing the scenes from King of New York, and seeing the kid that spun on the fan. That was just so cool to me.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see this movie. And I mean, that was like the big gotta see it moment. It didn't come here. Like Longview sucks, and you know that.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't come. I guess because at first I was like mad because it didn't, but I guess that there were select theaters that it went to.
Interesting.
And everything. So, but because at first I was like, oh, so, and because Phantom of the Opera didn't come to Longview either.
You're in trouble.
Uh-oh.
You're in trouble. Crawling over in the he's crawling over in studio land.
Uh-oh.
He's in trouble. Hey, don't you slap me.
He really wants time out.
He does. He wants to go into his prayer closet.
Yeah, and then I should have the VHS right here next to Rocketeer, but the box is so annihilated. I let someone borrow it.
Oof.
And their destructive little sister got a hold of the box.
Oh,
and
God.
Just destroyed the box. And what would be really cool is if someone could recreate, reconstruct the box or something, like remake the box or something. That would be cool.
Yeah.
And because, like I said, I still have the VHS and everything. It's just that box. And and then I would put it here with these other two. Yeah, all my VHS got destroyed, and I'm really sad. But
yeah, same with mine.
So I was surprised when my mom. I came out of my room one morning, and my mom says, "Yeah, we found these. Are these yours?" I'm like, "Yes." Oh, happy day.
Right.
Oh, good heavens. But yeah, this movie runs my life. I quote it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And
it all just made too much sense too. I was just like, dude, I see this has Karen written all over it.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's the big reveal.
Oh, now.
It was the absolute big reveal for sure.
Now, her fashion sense. Okay, that makes sense. And and her obsession with Christian Bale, got it.
I mean, it definitely, I saw some identical, like, I was gonna say not mannerisms, but I mean, like, the style, it definitely reflects, like, what you're interested in and whatnot.
Yeah, I used to wear suspenders for a while, and then they broke, and I need to get new ones. But yeah, just the quoting of the movie and everything else. Yeah, and then like half the movies that I bought a movie called The Wizard. It's a video game movie. It's got Fred Savage in it, but it also has Luke Edwards, who played the little boy in it.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it's just one big advertisement for the Power Glove.
Okay, yeah, that does sound really familiar.
Yeah, and but there's so many times where I'll be talking about something on my channel, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah," and one of the guys from Newsies in it, because they're everywhere. I think all my viewers on my channel are just used to it by now. Oh, good heavens. So, yes, I'm not well.
I mean, you and me both. You and me both. Who am I to judge?
Yeah. For the longest time, it was Rocky Horror Picture Show with you, and then it was Sweeney Todd.
Oh, that still is a thing, though. That's still a thing.
With I remember watching that, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Alan Rickman is in this."
Yeah.
I had no idea Alan Rickman was in that. And yeah, because my friend, who she's been my friend since middle school, and she would constantly, whenever she would come and spend the night at my house, I would say, "Well, how about we watch Newsies?" Well, she finally compromised, and she says, "Okay, if we're going to watch Newsies, you have to watch my favorite movie, which is Legend." I was like, "Okay." So, which really, I have no problem with Legend. I mean, Tim Curry as the devil, who would, and seeing Tom Cruise as a fairy. I mean, why not? So she thought that this was a problem for me. It really wasn't. And but then she added to it, because in the early 2000s there was like an extended version, like they were releasing a bunch of the theatrical versions of movies. So she had the original version, and then she had the theatrical version. I think she also ended up with the UK version. And so we would put in Newsies, and then she'd play all of these. I was like, "Wait a minute, this isn't fair. We're just watching one movie." And she's like, "No, this is fair because of how many years I had to put up with this one."
Right.
It's like, okay, fair enough. So all my friends have put up with this movie, and
there you go.
Oh, good
I
golly.
just remember, because Rocky Horror Picture Show was a big one for me for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember how that kind of got started because I had dated this girl and she was obsessed with Meatloaf. I mean, like diehard, like my obsession with Toto was like her obsession with Meatloaf.
Right.
And she ended up dumping me. And I remember I was just in a funk. I was bummed out. And so the bass player of my band actually was like, dude, let's watch a movie, like trying to cheer me up. And we're sitting there having a beer. And he's like, yeah, dude, let's watch a movie. So he puts it on. I'm just sitting here and like, then it says starring, it's going through the cast list. This says Meatloaf as Eddie. I looked over and I'm just glaring at my face.
Really?
And he's just like, just watch, okay? And then, Frankenfurter slays him. And then I just look over, I'm like, thank you, Kyle. I feel Neon's better.
I feel better now.
I did. I actually, it was cathartic. It was therapeutic. Not cathartic. It was therapeutic. It was like, yeah, I was like, okay.
That's a real
then
friend.
Then he kind of
right
gave me that look. He's
there.
like, you see, I told you. I was just like, so that's like my iconic moment the first time I watched it. And
oh, that's funny.
because I was getting the soundtrack stuck in my head and just, the 70s feel of it. I was like, dude, yeah, this is great.
Oh, man.
And of course, it's got that cult following still to this day,
Oh, of course.
Yeah, just like Nightmare Before Christmas, same thing.
Yeah, I have a friend. I had never seen Nightmare Before Christmas, and she says, okay, you really have to see it. So I sat down and I watched Nightmare Before Christmas. And she talked me into seeing it, and I mean it's a cute movie and everything. And I don't know that I would watch it again. It's just not really my thing. But I can see why people really enjoy it.
I mean,
it's got some catchy songs in it, and
I'm obsessed with Nightmare Before Christmas. I've been that way since I was like a kid. Well, since I was like a teenager. I couldn't watch it as a kid because it was like, Halloween and growing up in a Christian home. But finally I watched it.
Yeah, that was pretty much for me too.
I mean, I will be the first to say it's not anything spectacular. It's not like the most cool.
And I think what really
not like it doesn't stand out much among like other Tim Burton things, but it's it's a representation for sure. And it's like it's got great music, the characters are lovable, it's memorable, it's great, but I mean, like, it's not like, oh, you must see this before you die.
Yeah,
it's not to that level.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the story, I can understand where people would really like it and everything. I wasn't as wowed as I thought I would be,
right,
and everything. So, but I wouldn't hate it, not at all. No, I mean, I'm glad that I watched it, and so, but yeah, I mean, but there are those, like another Kenny Ortega movie, Hocus Pocus. I've never seen that movie, and I probably never will. And it's not because of the cult following. I have an aunt who she just got so insanely obsessed with this movie that I just had no interest in seeing it.
I mean, I get that. I definitely get that.
And so when people get so over the top like that and destroy a movie like that, it just, and she did that with a few other things as well when we were growing up. And
I think I did that for Sweeney Todd for a lot of people. A lot of people.
I would have no doubt that I did that with this movie, with Newsies, when we were in high school. Everybody was obsessed with NSYNC and Britney Spears and all that. Of course, I was watching this movie and I was like singing the songs to death. And people were getting annoyed with it. I look back and they were getting annoyed with it. And so I have no doubt that there are people, if I were to talk about it with some of my classmates. They're like, "Oh my gosh, are you still in love with this movie? Let it go."
That's just awesome though. That is seriously so awesome.
Yeah, but it's my feel good movie, and
Oh, for sure.
And but I mean, I'm not at I don't know if I'm at the stage of being like a Newsies, what do they call it, stan or whatever. And
Right.
I don't know that I could like it that much. When I was like I said, when I was a teenager, I was learning the dances, could never get Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't like Christian Bale, that he could do something, and he wasn't even a trained dancer like I was, so
Yeah.
that bastard. And then you have to point out that, yeah, I would need a horse, but whatever.
Yeah, right.
Just everybody's ganging up on me. Fine, whatever.
Hey, I'm just saying, I'm just observant.
Well, stop it.
Just turn a blind eye. Ignore the horse in the room.
Yeah, yeah. Just ignore it.
Yeah. What is this madness? What is this horse you speak of?
Yes. Yeah.
That just makes me think of Full House now. Daddy, there's a horse in the kitchen.
Oh man. But yeah, it's but and oh, love this movie too much. Really do.
I mean, it's great. Definitely. I could see it having like a cult following for sure.
Well, it does.
Yeah, like I definitely believe like you're just among the sea of faces of like the cult following, because it wasn't critically acclaimed. It was a box office bomb, but like I could imagine. I definitely.
Well, it's funny how many of those that bomb in the theater are picked up again. I mean, like Labyrinth bombed in the theater.
Oh yeah,
and
that's like
Dark Crystal bombed. Look, it's got a TV series now, which was cut short for some reason. I don't remember why. But so you have a lot of and even Rocketeer bombed.
Yeah.
And it's got a cult following as well. And so yeah, there's a lot of those movies that bomb, but somewhere along the lines they're picked up again, and it's got a whole new fan base,
right,
that embrace it. So I think it just comes down to, at the time, people weren't ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think for Newsies, people just were not ready for a musical again. You know, the last one was in the 70s, you know, but they had done Bedknobs and Broomsticks, they had done Pete's Dragon.
Right.
And through the 80s, there wasn't a musical. Disney had not put out a musical. In fact, they had tried to put out a movie, The Black Cauldron.
I remember that.
Did not have any songs in it. And of course, that was just face planted to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a risk that they were willing to take. And that was the first and last movie that they ever put out, an animated movie that they ever put out, that did not have any songs in it.
Right.
And so in 1992, people just did not want musical. I mean, the animated were doing just fine. And I mean, Beauty and the Beast, it was a big hit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
I remember
then,
that was a huge one. That was a huge hit.
Yeah, and then a few years later in 94, because I was in 91, and then in 94 you have Lion King.
Yep,
which was completely different.
I saw that in theaters when I was a little kid, I remember.
I think I saw that in the theater 6 times.
Really?
Yeah. And Well, it was released, I think, in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it was just, oh my gosh. So, but they were putting out with their live action, you had like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and they had then Dick Tracy was a Disney movie, but they put it out through Touchstone
Mm-hmm.
through
Yep.
that, and
I remember that movie.
that one did okay. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna say it was big blockbuster hit. It had big names in it. I mean, you had Madonna in it
Yeah.
and everything, and but and then you had Rocketeer. Rocketeer bombed, and but you had all these action movies going on, these time period movies like in the 30s. So it was like they had a formula going with like the 30s action movies, and then
Right.
and then you had Newsies set in 1899. So it was kind of an off thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't make sense.
That's exactly what I said. Like that was just like a very peculiar time for that to like kind of try to make a resurgence.
Yeah. But so it was like suddenly boom. And but what's funny is I think it helped because they also did movies like Iron Will, which is based off of a dog sled race,
Mm-hmm.
uh, in like 1917, I think is what the year was, and
Right.
that one did okay, and and then of course you have Cool Runnings, which is one of my all-time favorite movies, and so they were doing just fine, and so I think even with Newsies bombing as bad as it
Mm-hmm.
did, it helped these other movies that were based on actual events. Because it seems like there was another
Right.
one, I think it was called Out of Africa. And I don't remember.
That one sounds familiar.
Yeah, it seems like something to that effect. And it seems like that one is based off of actual events as well. These kids
Right.
um, uh, see a horrible thing and then they run away and they end up in the deserts of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember if that's based on actual events, but it seems like there is another. But anyway, so yeah, Disney was putting out a lot of these movies based on actual events.
Right.
And Newsies basically helped to kickstart that, even though it fell apart.
Yeah. It struck the match at least,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
did. Because Cool Runnings, again, is one of my all time favorites. I absolutely love it.
I remember that movie. Yeah.
And, John Candy, just I love him, and how can you dislike any movie John Candy's in?
Oh yeah,
I
for
miss him
sure.
so much. He's one of the actors that I absolutely miss, and but so yeah, um, so you never want to see a movie die
Mm-hmm.
in the box office, but the fact that they were doing all the 30s movies suddenly do this Victorian era movie
Right.
based on actual events when all these others weren't based on actual events.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time they did one based in the 30s was a TV movie called Journey of Natty Gann. And that one has John Cusack. It's based in the Depression era. And so my mom absolutely loves that one. She has that. And it's a pretty good TV movie. But anyway, so they decided to do the 30s, go straight into the Victorian era,
Yeah.
loosely based on actual events.
Right. Yeah. Keyword loosely.
Loosely based. I got to tell you something. The fan base has torn this movie apart, one side and to the other, over the fact that this movie is not historically accurate. But you know what? We laugh about it. And
Right.
because we still enjoy this movie 100%. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
it's like if I were to look at Gladiator and just I mean, there wasn't a gladiator named Maximus.
Mm-hmm.
If there had been a gladiator who did all that, it would have been documented.
Right.
There was a guy named Commodus, and he did fight in the Colosseum.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have to say that Ridley Scott gave him a a more dignified death. Because the actual Commodus was killed in a bath by either a gladiator that was upset or a juggler. I can't remember which one.
Right.
So let's go with the Ridley Scott death.
Yeah, there you go.
And but yeah, I mean, and really, Gladiator is based off of a book that Daniel P. Mannix wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel P. Mannix is actually the author of Fox and the Hound. So
right.
so, but the movies are from Hollywood. You're not going to get 100% accuracy.
Yeah, that's yeah,
that's the whole thing about it. I mean,
take it as it is.
Spot Conlon, as much as we love him, he was not one of the Newsies. He didn't exist. The other ones did. And
right.
So there you have that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, kiddo. You don't
deal
exist. Yeah.
Yeah, just deal with it.
What is it? Bill and Ted says, all we are is dust in the wind.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Spot. Oh, good heavens. Certain. That's what we need. We need a Bill and Ted Newsies crossover. That would be funny.
There you go.
That would be funny as hell.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
That's what fan fiction's for, I think.
Oh God.
No, I would just like to see Christian Bale and Keanu Reeves in the same movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they're talking about a Gladiator 2. And I was talking to a friend of mine. First of all, I think it's a dumb idea, but I was talking to a friend of mine because everybody watches the movie Gladiator for Maximus. And we all saw what happened to Maximus. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, well, as much as they emphasized how much Maximus loved his wife, that he had side chicks, because that's just what happened in ancient Rome. And I said, well, I know that. And he says, well, so why doesn't it follow one of his bastard kids? And it's played by Christian Bale. And I was like, I would follow that, I guess. And he says, of course you would, because you like Christian Bale. I said, is that why you said that?
No, just out of sheer interest in the film itself.
Well, for gosh sakes, Christian Bale has played Moses and he has played Jesus. Why doesn't he play a Roman soldier or something? I don't know.
I get,
Yes. And I didn't see that. What was that? Gods of Egypt or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that movie. I didn't even know it existed till about 2 years ago. It's like, oh, he played Moses. Okay. But I do
Prince of Egypt? Is that what you're thinking of?
No, there was a movie that he did that was oh shoot, I can't believe he played Gandhi. Crap, I can't believe I'm forgetting. Let's see. What is his name? Ben Kingsley. Yeah, Ben Kingsley is, I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. Let's see. Let me look up. Yeah, what was the name of that? I'm pretty sure it was like Gods and Warriors or something like that. Yeah, most of the time people just remember Batman and The Prestige or whatever it is, that magic movie.
Right.
And yeah, where is that? Exodus, God and Kings.
Oh, okay.
That's the movie. Now, who is it? Was I wrong with Ben Kingsley? No, Ben Kingsley is in it. Okay. And but yeah, people were talking about that one with me, and it's like, yeah, he plays Moses, and I've never seen it. I remember the TV movie where he played Jesus.
Yeah.
And because I watched it with my mom, and she's like, I'm so impressed with him, and this and I was like, well, I don't think you know about the movie where he did a sex scene a couple years earlier. So.
Oh my.
Well,
Oh,
it was.
God.
And I don't think mom knows that I went to the theater to see that. Yeah, it traumatized
Oh
me.
my God.
It traumatized me so much that I have the movies.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's a movie.
Well,
It's called Velvet Goldmine, and it's based in the glam rock era. Ewan McGregor is in it too. Ewan McGregor is even talked. I love how Ewan McGregor talks about it. He's like, "Yeah, me and Batman did the nasty." like, well,
that's great.
as only a Scottish man can say.
That's great.
And then he got up and he started talking about, I mean, he was like going through the motions. He's like, and we were doing this, and I was like, dude, stop. You're making people uncomfortable.
He's not holding back whatsoever.
No.
Oh my God. Wow. That's just awful. Oh my God. Well then.
Oh. Don't you love being friends with me? I tell you these
Oh,
things.
it's certainly not boring. I learn a lot. It's an educational process. It's a very it's informative. It's very informative.
Yes, you just learned about a movie with Christian Bale and Ewan McGregor. That's
Yeah.
that you probably never watch.
Oh God, is that going to be the next one of this whole series?
I won't make you watch it.
Oh my God.
But
well,
curiosity,
like glam rock and shit. So it's like, okay, well.
The one thing that bothers me though is that there are people that think that it's about a real musician, and it's not.
Oh
No,
yeah.
Amadeus is about a real person. Bohemian Rhapsody is about a real person. Rocketman is about a real person. I mean, you go down the list, and there are movies that are about real people, musicians, and everything. That one is just about glam rock.
I mean, fair enough.
Oh, good heavens!
I love it. Me and Batman did the nasty. I love it. That's just wow. I love it.
Oh, good heavens!
Oh my God.
See, the fan base, all they want to do is they want to talk about the Magic movie, the Prestige, maybe American Psycho, and Batman. They never talk about this kind of stuff.
Somebody's done their homework. That's all I can say. You've definitely done your homework.
I wouldn't call this homework. It was. Oh, I remember when the movie came out, and people knew that I liked Christian Bale, and they said, well, you have to see this movie. They didn't prepare me for that. I remember sitting in the theater and I'm like, what's happening? Oh no, I must look away.
How old were you when this happened?
I was a teenager. I think that movie came out in 1997, something like that. 97 or 98, yeah.
Oh my God, though.
And I just remember my mom picked me up, and she's like, so how was the movie? And I had told her that I was going to see a different movie.
Oh.
And because she didn't want me to see Velvet Goldmine.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it was good. It was okay. And but because she had heard about explicit things happening in this movie,
right?
And so I but, and I'm sure that if I were to tell her now that I saw, she would have a fit. You lied to me. Why would you? That's what she would fixate on, is the fact that I lied to her.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And my mom is so funny like that. She really is.
Yeah, I can relate. I certainly can relate.
Well, that's how moms are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just the general.
I bet if we were parents, we would do the same thing, Or if a kid came home and said, yeah, I got suspended because I had drugs, it'd be like, the school suspended you? How is your education? How are you going to go to college?
I'd just be like, what the hell were you hiding? And why weren't you, what were you bogarting? You get over here right now.
Oh my gosh.
No, you better be like, you better have something left. They better not have taken it.
No, you don't.
Oh, you know me. I gotta be a smart ass.
Yeah, you've been a smart ass this whole time.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
It's past my bedtime. No.
Yeah, that's the excuse. See,
there you go.
You're like Racetrack. Racetrack was the whole smart ass of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah, there you go.
Like three or four Red Bulls later. I mean,
yeah, I don't think it was Red Bull that made him a smart ass.
3 or 4 Red Bulls, like 2 cups of coffee. Yeah, about the American average for me.
No, I just think it's your personality in general.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing I noticed when I got sober too, was like at first it was like I just had so much more energy after a couple weeks, like being sober and like getting over withdrawals and everything. Like people have like a hard time keeping up with me, and I'm just like, come on, you guys, let's go do this. Let's go. And I was never like that. Like, well, not
yeah, it's just it's your natural high now.
Yeah, it was just like I just wanted to like, go explore and go on adventures. And everything. I'm tired. I'm like, oh, come on, pussies. Seriously. It's like, come on. There's like,
oh, good heavens.
But I mean, it's just, that's just me in a nutshell.
Oh, good heavens.
My goodness. On that note, though, I probably should wrap things up.
Yeah, I should let you go.
Yeah.
But I thank you for doing this.
Of course, this has been great. This has been awesome. You want to fire another suggestion at me? We can do this again. Like I said,
well, it was your first time watching the movie, so the fact that I exposed you to this movie and it's the 30th anniversary, so that made it a lot more fun, even though we went off the rails a lot, but whatever.
Wow.
That's what friends do.
What else would you expect with the two of us in like some sort of you give us an inch, we're gonna run a mile.
Exactly. Well,
you're trying to contain us.
Yeah.
Come on now.
People expect me to go off the rails because that's what I do, but now we really went off,
Oh yeah, no, like
because that's what friends do,
Exactly. For sure.
Well, maybe next time we will do Rocketeer. We'll do that one.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'm definitely down.
So, yeah. But anyway, so I will let you go.
All righty. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Well, you have a good night.
You as well. Thank you.
Right. Good night.
Bye.